You are watching Yeticket.com with Al McGee, movie reviews and interviews. This is Yeticket.com. Yeticket.com, your entertainment ticket.
We are your entertainment ticket, that's right. Yeticket.com. We are your entertainment ticket, that's right. Yeticket.com. 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 We are your entertainment ticket, that's right. Yeticket.com. Yeticket.com.
Hey, this is Al McGee with your entertainment ticket, sports. I'm here at the Boca Pal Gym in Boca Raton, Florida. I'm speaking to a champion trainer, but also when he was a fighter, a boxer, he was two-time champion. I'm talking about John David Jackson. How you doing, John?
My pleasure to be here. I'm doing great.
Well, I'm here to talk about your next fighter who's fighting on March the 11th, Curtis Stevens. He's a champ. He's a middleweight. Tell us about that.
Curtis Stevens is going to fight David Lemieux, a very strong fighter within his own right. Should be an action-packed fight between two very good punchers, two guys that don't really take a step backwards. So the fans should be for a thrilling fight that night.
Well, as a middleweight, David Lemieux is 36-3, and Curtis Stevens, his record is not as good as that. How will he overcome David Lemieux?
That shouldn't be a hard riddle to solve. David Lemieux is a good puncher. Like I said, he's not a boxer, so he doesn't take a step going backwards. So that means it's easy.
Well, he's a Canadian fighter. Sometimes they seem to have a lot of success these days, these Canadian fighters.
Well, it's not so much he's Canadian. If he's a good fighter, he has success. If he's a bad fighter, not so successful. But Curtis can box. Curtis can punch. It's a very interesting fight. Two good fighters, two strong punchers. Let's see who has a better will and skill to win the fight.
Now, when I first met Curtis, he was an underdog, and he was fighting an undefeated fighter. And with your training, this is the first time you trained him, he won that fight. Then he won the next one. Now he has the belt. What did you see in Curtis to say, hey, let me train you, or I want to train you to get better?
Well, Curtis had desire. Curtis is a better boxer than people give him credit for being, and sometimes he gives himself the credit he deserves for being. He boxes better than people realize. He boxes better than sometimes he realizes. He relies on his punching power too much. So I kind of set him down and got him back to boxing, and still with punching power and still being the aggressor. But let the folks know that you box better than you really can, and let the fighters know that you're not one-dimensional.
Yeah, that's right. And also, he's a very serious boxer who takes his training very seriously too. You like a fighter like that, right?
Any trainer will love a fighter that's dedicated and he's loyal to the gym, and you don't have to look for him to get him to get in the gym and work. So that's a plus for both of us, and definitely makes me feel better.
Well, they're fighting for their belts. They both have belts in different divisions, and what's going to happen with that when Curtis wins?
Well, when Curtis wins, you got that correct. Is that hopefully it puts him in line for a title shot.
Well, who will he fight then in the middleweight division?
There's Triple G. You can get a rematch with Triple G. There's Canelo. There's a kid named Billy Saunders from Europe, who's the WBO champion. There's a couple fights he can get out there with meaningful title intentions.
Man, he's going to have a busy year. But let's talk about you, John David Jackson. Your last two fighters, they lost, Kovalev and your boy, Bernard Hopkins. Now, how do you come back from something like that? Even though you weren't in the ring, but how do you come back from something like that?
I take it with a grain of salt. Boxing is boxing. You win some, you lose some. Every day is not going to be a good day for you. What you do is you got to pick up the pieces and start all over again. Bernard's my man. He been on the game a long time. He was a chief sparring partner when I was champion of the world. It was time for him to retire. Would I rather him gone out on a better note? Yes, I would have. But it's time. He didn't get knocked out. He didn't get beat bad, but he fell off the ring, and it was time to retire. With Kovalev, it was a bad decision. But the judges, hey, I don't blame the fighter. Ward did what Ward was supposed to do. He's just a fighter, not a judge. The judges that scored it wrong. But what can you do? That's part of boxing. You move on. You hopefully get a rematch, and let's see what happens with both fighters.
Well, I hope there's a rematch, and you will be in Kovalev corner, right?
Let's see. Cole's been talking a lot lately. You know, it depends on what he wants to do. If I'm there, fine. If I'm not, I'll move on.
One more question about Curtis Stevens. Now, when Curtis Stevens fight Lemieux, man, how do you keep him to only think about the fight and no other factors outside the ring?
Well, at this stage of Curtis's career, I think he realized what he has to do, and he knows that outside distractions can sometimes hurt him in the ring. He's a professional, true and tried professional. I think that he understands what he has to do, and I believe that he will not let any outside influences bother him during this fight because he can't afford that. Not at this stage of his career, and I think he's a well-seasoned veteran who he can withstand any storm that comes his way.
I believe you because I see them fight. I want to thank you, John David Jackson, for taking time with me, Al McGee, at Your Entertainment Ticket. And, man, you got a good job ahead of you, and you're going to be busy this year. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Al, for all your everything you've done for us as far as the interviews. They're wonderful. We appreciate it.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate that, too. Thank you.
This is your entertainment ticket. Latest and greatest movie reviews and interviews. This is your entertainment ticket. This is your entertainment ticket. Latest and greatest movie.